tonight this evening. I would ask that you mute your cell phones and please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, would you do a roll call, please, for attendance?
Mayor Roman,
Here.
Mrs. Thurston,
Here.
Mr. Capabianco,
Here.
Mr. Bull, absent. Mr. Costa, Mrs. Haynes,
Here.
Mr. Powers, absent. Mrs. Scroback,
Here.
Chief Murray.
Here.
Mr. Wills,
Here.
Ms. Catania,
I am here.
Ms. Stillwell,
Here.
Ms. Matagi. Thought she was here. Mr. Kronkowitz.
Here.
Ms. Martz.
Here. Thank you. Let the record reflect that Mr. Bull, Costigan, and Powers are excused tonight. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the December meetings minutes?
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion, and for those members that are new, you may abstain from the December minute meeting to vote on.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Yes, please.
Mr. Bull, Ms. absent. Mr. Capabianco.
Abstain.
You cannot. Mrs. Costa, absent. Mrs. Haynes. Mr. Powers. Mrs. Percival.
Yes.
Mrs. Scroback.
Abstain.
You have none.
Works for me. Council has before them the minutes of the meeting of the reorganization on January 2nd. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Mr. Secretary, do you have any correspondence this
I
evening?
have a couple. Just find out where I put it. We had correspondence this week from Lenai Electric. We had 2 lights fixed. The one in Parkside Terrace, which is the only light I understand. And also there's a light out at the corner of Blossom and East Shelter. They've been repaired. Also, for you, Madam President, I heard back from ProTree, and they're going to do their walk down this week and get us an estimate next week.
Super, thank you.
This is correspondence received today to be read at tonight's meeting. It's written by Kyle Palmer. In the reorganization that took place during the January 2023 council meeting, it was made clear that for several years, Parkside Borough Council had been in violation of the Pennsylvania Borough Code regarding appointments, and that all appointments require a majority vote, either by motion or resolution. The Pennsylvania Borough Code reads as follows. Pennsylvania Borough Code 1104G, majority vote required. All appointments to be made by the council shall be made by a majority of the members of council unless a different vote is required by statute. Despite this, our newly reorganized council opted to revert back to blatantly violating this state statute by reading off a list of appointments without a vote. Why is that? Furthermore, the agenda for the reorganization meeting included several motions that were voted on by our new council, despite accepting no public comment at this meeting prior to the vote. This is a blatant violation of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. As a reminder, the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act states as follows. 701.1 Public Participation, A, General Rule. Except as provided in subsection D, the board or council of a political subdivision or of an authority created by a political subdivision shall provide a reasonable opportunity at each advertised regular meeting and advertised special meeting for residents of a political subdivision or of the authority created by a political subdivision, or for taxpayers of the political subdivision, or of the authority created by a political subdivision, or for both to comment on matters of concern, official action or deliberation which are or may be before the board or council prior to taking official action. Lastly, the Sunshine Act also gives residents the right to interrupt a council meeting at any time if they believe council is violating the Sunshine Act, and I encourage anyone in attendance to do so. The Sunshine Act states as follows. C, objection. Any person has the right to raise an objection at any time to a perceived violation of this chapter at any meeting of a board or council of a political subdivision or an authority created by a political subdivision. All representatives of the residents of Parkside, how do you know how you will cast your vote if you haven't bothered to ask the people you represent how they feel about it? Kyle Palmer.
I'd like our solicitor to comment before you go any further.
Thank you, Madam President. I will begin my remarks by addressing Ms. Palmer's comments regarding public participation at a Borough Council reorganization meeting. Section 710.1, subsection A of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act provides for public comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which may be before Borough Council prior to taking action at all regular meetings and special meetings. The Borough Council reorganization meeting is neither. Regular advertised meetings of Borough Council are held on the third Wednesday of each month. A special meeting is defined by section 1006, subsection 2 of the Pennsylvania Borough Code as a meeting that may be called by the president of council or upon request of 1/3 of the members of council. Members thereafter shall be given at least 24 hours notice of the special meeting. The Borough Council reorganization meeting is a mandatory meeting held on the first Monday of January of even-numbered years pursuant to section 1001 of the Pennsylvania Borough Code. It is neither a regular advertised meeting nor a special meeting. Borough Council may at the reorganization meeting appoint officers as may be provided by law or ordinance, or as may be deemed necessary for the conduct of affairs of the borough, and may transact any other business as may become before the meeting. The Pennsylvania Sunshine Law is mysteriously silent and does not address whether public participation is mandatory at a reorganization meeting. Moreover, there are no appellate court cases in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania addressing whether public participation is a mandatory component of a reorganization meeting. Furthermore, the Pennsylvania Boroughs Association in Harrisburg, which provides critical support, guidance, and technical assistance to boroughs throughout the Commonwealth, has taken the position that public participation is not required at a reorganization meeting. On its website is a sample reorganization meeting agenda and instructions provided to boroughs throughout the Commonwealth, which does not provide for a period of public participation, unlike regular and special meetings where such is specifically required under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law. Accordingly, in light of all of these factors, I would respectfully disagree with Ms. Palmer's interpretation of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law as it applies to mandatory borough council reorganization meetings. With regard to the official appointments made at the January 2nd, 2024 reorganization meeting, those appointments should be made by a majority of the members of council. Although Parkside Borough has a long and storied tradition of having those appointments announced by the council president after conferring with his or her colleagues on council. Council President Percival may have announced those official appointments to expedite the reorganization meeting after conferring with her colleagues and obtaining a consensus on those appointments. Nonetheless, so that Borough Council may be in full compliance with both the letter and the spirit of the Pennsylvania Borough Code, I would encourage council to take a public vote to ratify each of the appointments at its upcoming September 21st council meeting. Although none of the official appointments may change, I believe this would be a prudent and worthwhile exercise. I also note that one of our council members could not be present at the reorganization meeting, and this would provide him an opportunity to participate fully in the selection process of borough officials. I would therefore ask the borough secretary if he would place each of those appointments on the council advertised agenda for the February 21st meeting so that the borough may be in full compliance with the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. With regard to committee, or strike that, with regard to council committee assignments, as clearly stated in Robert's Rules of Order, which this borough has followed for the past 25 years. The president of council is vested with the sole and exclusive authority to appoint or remove members and or chairperson from any and all council committees. To the extent that Ms. Palmer objects to the council president's authority to make such appointments, I would likewise respectfully disagree with her interpretation relative to the inherent authority vested in the council president. I trust my comments have adequately addressed Ms. Palmer's concerns, and I look forward to engaging with all Parkside residents on any matters concerning the operation of municipal government here in the borough of Parkside. That is all I have today.
Thank you, Mr. Wills. As everyone just heard, Ms. Palmer's email to council, the appointments, it was an oversight of not having that brought up, and it will be corrected. Unfortunately, the same oversight occurred at the reorganization of 2022. It does not make it right, and it will be corrected. We always have had a business-like environment during our meetings. The residents are given 2 opportunities to speak. 1, on agenda items, and 2, a call to citizens. We hear your voices. That's why there are 2. We are upholding that law. All the residents have the ability to contact anyone on this board if they have questions or concerns. We don't want our residents to think that we do not hear your voices, whether it's at a meeting or on our own time. Our office is open 8 to 2:30. If you cannot reach one of us, our secretary is here. Please leave a message and we'll get back to you. We are here in this new year to do the business of governing, and that's what we're going to do for the residents, so we do hear you. Mr. Secretary, do you have anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you. We will move on to the mayor's report. Mayor Roman.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. Crimes reported in December. Criminal mischief, there's 1. Robbery, there were 2. Harassment, 1. Trespass, 1. Fraud, 1. Calls of service were 136. There were 6 medical emergencies. Suspicious persons, there were 5. Building checks, 16. Assist other agencies, 36. Domestic, 6. And animal complaints, 7. Accidents, there were 5. Traffic detail, 22. Motor vehicle stops, 28. Traffic citations, 16. And then warnings, there were 12. And then the chief will talk about the annual report.
So what I did was I compiled some numbers for the entire year of 2023, just to give you a snapshot of what happened in the borough. And I'm not going to read all of the individual crimes. There were a total of 49 crimes committed in the borough, reported in the borough during the year 2023. Of those 49 crimes, we made 23 arrests. We have a clearance rate of 47%. Clearance rate means that we charged someone with the commission of a certain crime. Now those are broken down further into 2 sections. Part 1 crimes, which are crimes against persons, assaults, robbery, murder, those kinds of serious crimes. And Part 2 crimes, which are property crimes, burglary, trespass, theft, criminal mischief, those kinds of crimes. The national clearance rate for Part 1 crimes is 46%. Parkside Police cleared 81% of the Part 1 crimes committed in the borough last year. The national clearance rate for Part 2, or the lesser crimes, is 18%. Parkside cleared 30% of those crimes during 2023. We responded to a total of 2,007 police incidents. 709 of those were motor vehicle stops. I went back and looked just for the sake of comparison. In 2022, we only had 1,090 total incidents. So we haven't quite doubled, but we're very close to doubling the number of incidents. And the lion's share of that is motor vehicle stops. And the previous year, we had 43 crimes. As you know, in the beginning of 2023, we went through the process of hiring additional full-time officers. And I think you can see with the additional officers that we have picked up the pace across the board in addressing complaints that the people give us. So I appreciate council's support in doing that, and we'll continue to do our job here for the borough.
Mayor, do you have anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we have call to citizens for agenda items only. If you'd like to address council on agenda items only. Okay, moving on is the President's report. I'd like to mention quickly that the State Borough Code Act 140, which allows boroughs to purchase used property from volunteer emergency services without bid, had passed. Act 150 increased the bid threshold to $2,000 for sale of municipal personal property without a public bid. I'd like to thank Ms. Catania and PennDOT for fixing the grate on Upland Avenue. Nice to see that gone. I'd like to announce that the bid thresholds for 2024 will be 12,600 or under is a no bid. 12,600 to 23,200, we will need 3 written quotes or phone quotes. Anything over 23,200 will be bid out. Our CDBG grant forms have been signed and processed. The annual recycling report and questionnaire has been submitted to the county. We recycled 236 tons of material in 2023. Our December quotes totals for trash, we had 96.63 tons and 15.15 tons of recycling. Our junior council members last spring planted a remembrance garden at the West Pole Memorial and are obtaining a plaque for it. They are planting this spring at the woodlot, not only a new flower bed, but also they will be using the flower pots down there to put flowers in it that will be perennials. Daniel, did you want to speak about the plaque?
So I would have to find someone who would be able to do the plaque, but I would be able to talk about it next meeting.
You want me to read it?
No.
Let's see if I have it with me. You want me to read it real quick?
That's one.
The plaque will read, and this will go at the Memorial Garden that our junior council members did. Our garden is dedicated to the mental health and suicide awareness. Parkside Junior Council members, suicide hotline number 988, April 23rd, 2023. So that's in the process of being made up, and I understand will be installed shortly.
Yes.
Also, our assistant tax collector hours to collect our tax monies will start in March. They will be on Saturday, which is something very unusual for us to do this year. The Saturdays will be March 16th, March 23rd, and March 30th from 8 a.m. till noon here at the Borough Hall. If you need to have an evening appointment, we would have you contact Mr. Platt and he will make arrangements to have an evening appointment for tax collections or any other problem. I understand that we apparently owe the fire company monies for a fire marshal coat that was budgeted last year, but we did not pay for. This is due to the fact that the fire company has not sent us an invoice with a copy of the original statement for this equipment. The fire marshal and the fire chief are here this evening. I would ask that we send you an official letter asking you for a copy of the original receipt so that we may pay for this equipment. The cost was $1,810, if I'm not mistaken, and we did budget $2,000. Mr. Platt, if we would send an official letter to the fire company so we can get everything in writing.
Yes, Madam President.
And that's all I have this evening, unless somebody has a question, we can move on. Finance report. Mr. Bull is not here, and I can read some of the totals, and then Mr. Platt has a report. Do you want to start with yours first?
You gonna read that?
I will, unless you want to.
Let me find this letter.
Let me start by saying all bank accounts have been reconciled through December 31st, except Sharon Bank Escrow Green Trade. We do not have the bank statements for this account. For the month of November, $12,889.45 was deposited in TD Bank. Expenses were $73,901.51. During this period, $24,325.07 was deposited into Sharon Bank, and expenses were $60,266.03. And that included payroll of $55,072. Mr. Plant?
I'm ready. In addition, to date, there were no anomalous bills or capital outlays noted on review of the current invoices. Please recommend accepting the treasurer's report and a motion to pay the bills. The rest is open space.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion to accept the treasurer's report? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. I will entertain a motion to release the third quarter 2023 fire company check in the amount of $33,750.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Mr. Platt, will you do a roll call, please?
Lost my paper, bear with me.
Sure.
Mr. Full is absent. Mr. Capabianco,
Abstain.
Mr. Costigan, absent. Mrs. Haynes,
Jay, did we reach out to the ethics?
Yes, you are fine to vote.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Powers is absent. Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Ms. Roback,
Abstain.
good to go.
Super, thank you. We also have a motion, we also have a resolution for council, Resolution 1870. Whereas Borough Council of the Borough of Parkside, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, due session did agree and resolve to designate Sharon Bank, TD Bank, as a depository for the Borough checking account, Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust as a depository for the Borough savings account. Whereas the Borough Council wishes to authorize acceptable signatures for these various accounts. Be it resolved that Sharon Bank and TD Bank are hereby designated as depositories for all borough checking accounts, and Pennsylvania Local Government Trust is hereby designated as depository for all borough savings account. Be it further resolved that any of the two following people are authorized to sign borough checks and make borough withdrawals. Secretary, Robert J. Platt. Treasurer, Douglas Bull. Council President, Shirley Percival. What's your pleasure?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved.
Madam President, I will get you the forms for Pliget. I have to get that for you. I'll get them to you.
Thank you. We also, under the advice of the treasurer, have a motion on the floor to transfer $32,126.87 plus accrued interest from TD escrow account ending in 3302 to the general fund and to subsequently close this account. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Did Mr. Bull leave something on open space?
You did.
Thank you.
Woodlot projects are ongoing. The trees are now becoming hazardous as it has been over a year since their decline was noted. Something should be done for the ash abatement. There have been multiple quotes. Unfortunately, they were not to the same scope with that general progress report. And that was what I was mentioning earlier about per tree. I'll give us an estimate this week. Open space. The Ilg Circle Eagle Scout project is ongoing. There was a motion approved to support the project financially. I think this would be best served by purchasing a bench or benches that are consistent with the Wesley Cole Memorial and the wood lot. The trash receptacle could be included. the borough oversee that they are installed to spec. If there's anything else, contact them.
Thank you. We postponed the project of removing some of the dead trees because we don't have enough information from numerous companies that were interested. Some of the scope of work was unequal in their scopes. So we're just trying to start back to square one. And as Mr. Platt said, we will be getting another company in here to give us another quote, look at the same comparison if Mr. Bull comes back and get something done with these trees.
Madam President, do we want to reach out to one or two of the other ones and show them the scope that we're using now as the basis?
Yes,
That way we can get
please.
apples and
And
apples.
that way we're doing apples and apples instead of what we've been doing.
That's a good one.
And we also, for council's information, we have one or two estimates that were not sent back to us. Moving on, junior council persons. Did you have anything tonight? I know it's the beginning of the year.
Just general progress.
Thank you. Recreation, Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. As some of you may know, we're doing a Me and My Guy dance on February 17th. Some people know it as a daddy-daughter dance, but some people don't have a dad in their lives, or maybe their dad just can't make it to an event or something. So we changed the wording to Me and My Guy. The recreation is working diligently on that. There is a fee of $20 per couple. That'll get on pizza, soda, or a drink, pretzel, dessert. We have our own DJ, DJ Nick. And along with that, they'll also have a little keepsake that they can bring home with them. And so that the Me and My Guy, they'll have something to remember their little princess or princesses with. We're also thinking about selling flowers if they'd like to do flowers, 3/4 flowers. If they don't want to, that's fine. We'll have the tickets. We had a little bump, I guess I'll call it, with having them made, so we should have them by the end of the week, I'm hoping. Let me see what else. And I know some dads were saying that they're skeptical because they can't dance. Well, don't worry, the kids don't care if the dads can't dance. They'll be out there having a good time. Then March 22nd, we're also doing, instead of doing the egg dye-in, we decided to do it at Easter bingo. So we're trying to figure out how many rounds we're going to do of the bingo, but the kids will still go home with eggs that they can decorate at home. That'll be at the firehouse, and also so is the dance. The dance will be at the firehouse. The 23rd, we're still going to have our Easter egg hunt down at the woodlot, and then we changed our community day to May 4th. So we're going to walk around soon with a flyer like this at all of our events. So look out for this. If you don't get it, you can reach out to somebody here at the borough. I'll make sure you get it. Once the weather breaks, we'll be out walking the streets and handing them out. Anybody's welcome to join recreation. We just want to keep it fun. And that's it. Thank you from the Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Please, Public Safety, Mr. Capabianco.
Thank you, Madam President. It's good to be back with you again here and some of the residents.
Thank you.
Public safety, I report general progress. If you don't mind, I'd like to move on to license inspections and code enforcement.
Yes.
For license inspections for the month of November, there was 10 building permits, 2 plumbing, 5 mechanical, and 1 electrical. For the month of December, there was 4 buildings, 1 plumbing, and that's it for license inspections. For code enforcement, this is a big one. The borough building has received a free grant to outfit the building and the garage with LED lights. That's a free grant. I asked the roadmaster how many tube lights we had in the garage. He says a little less than 12. So I think it's a good idea to do this. And we already started in the secretary's office. So anybody wants to go back and see these LED lights, the secretary's office is already outfitted with that.
And I like the word free.
Yes.
Free.
Free. 59 East Shelton, corner property has been secured. I did enter the building with a police officer and also had Chief Dave Lamy come in in there with me. Under the International Property Maintenance Code, the code official has the right to entry, and that's under 104.3. That's why I went in there and we did the work, so that's all secured. Also, the fire department drained out the pool over there. There's still debris in there, but there's not much we can do about it. But the fire department, I'd like to thank the fire department for coming out and doing that service for us.
Thank you, definitely.
And all the volunteers too, thank you very much. Basketball court warnings, we had numerous basketball court warnings. There was 1 on the unit block of West Elbine, 1 on the 200 block of Crozier, 1 on the 200 block of East Avine, and 200 block of West Rowan. They all have warnings, all took them down. And we're good to go.
Super.
And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. And thank you for the free grant.
Yes.
Any questions for code? We'll go back up to ordinances. Mrs. Germack.
Thank you, Madam President. Council has in front of them proposed ordinance 580, an ordinance of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, rescinding, amending, and supplementing certain sections and subsections of the General Code of the Borough of Parkside entitled Garbage, Rubbish, and Refuse, Permit Fees, and Fences and Walls. Permit required, I would like to make a motion to advertise the following ordinances. Permit required fee. No person shall place a dumpster within the Borough of Parkside public streets without first obtaining from the Borough office an application for a permit and paying the fee established. Before a permit is issued and dumpster placed, a review of the proposed location by the code enforcement officer will be required. Permit fees. Any Parkside resident 65 years or older, military veteran, or disabled person may apply for 1 permit within a calendar year for a 50% discount off any building, plumbing, electrical, or HVAC permit. Fences and walls. Before erecting a fence, a sketch plan of the proposed fence must be submitted and a permit from the zoning officer obtained. Prior to the erection of a wall, an engineered plan of the proposed wall shall be submitted and a permit obtained from the zoning officer. Solicitor Wills, can you speak upon these ordinances?
Just very briefly, thank you, Madam Councilwoman. This is actually an ordinance that incorporates some very minor changes to 3 existing ordinances on the books with regard to the permit fee for the dumpster. Basically, we're changing the language so that the application and the review of the application will be done by the code enforcement officer as opposed to the police department. This is really a matter that's best left to the code enforcement officer rather than the police department. The second item, again, with regard to the permit fees, I think that's very attractive language, obviously, for senior citizens, for military veterans, disabled, to be able to obtain a discount for basically plumbing, electrical, building, and HVAC permit fees. So again, that is something very, very attractive to again, our disabled and our senior citizens in the community. And then with regard to the fences and walls, again, some minor changes with regard to basically language with regard to shared fences, which have been somewhat confusing, and I think we eliminated that. So I've worked with the ordinance department or ordinance committee, I should say, on the drafting of this particular ordinance. Again, basically incorporating some changes, fairly minor in nature, to 3 existing ordinances. And so if it is the pleasure of our council, a motion would be in order to basically advertise this ordinance with possible adoption at the February 21st council meeting.
I'll second that.
Any questions on the motion to advertise? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Do you have anything else this evening? Public Works, I'd like to take a moment to thank Mr. Ryan Cordock. Did a great job on the storm, and I hope you rest up for Fridays. Did Rob send anything or no?
No.
Moving on to Emergency Management Report, Mr. Smith.
Progress for emergency management, Madam President.
Just keep on going for Fire Marshal.
Okay, for Fire Marshal, good evening, Madam President, rest of the council. For Fire Marshal, we have one investigation that had happened in a short period of time in me being here. Monday, January 15th, around 5:07 p.m., 100 block of West Garrison Road, there were Parkside Fire Company was dispatched for a building fire. Engine 45 arrived first on location under the command of Chief Lamy to find a small fire on the outside of an addition. Investigation showed that it was accidental in nature, and you will have a full report once I receive the insurance company's information.
Super, thank you. For the recycling, since I already gave the totals, we'll go into communication. Mrs. Haynes.
Thank you, Madam President. Theo will be showing me the ropes of production so that I can set up recording and live stream in his absence. He's going to help us have access to the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and website. Please email me at Sarah S. Haynes, SHAYNES, at parksideborough.gov if you're interested in joining the communications committee or submitting an article. And that is all I have.
Have you started an initial draft
For,
the newsletter?
yes, ma'am.
Super. We look forward to seeing it.
May I suggest you put the recycling dates in that paper? A lot of people are asking for that.
Any questions for communication? Did Mr. Fisher leave a report this evening?
He did.
Great.
December 19th to December 28th, 2023. Good evening. Treasurer has received a total of $1,239,875.90 to date. There was $23,137.72 in revenue deposits from December 19th to December 28th, 2023. Regards, Mr. Ed Fisher.
Super, thank you. Engineers report, Ms. Catania?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a few things. Number one, we put an application in for Community Development Block Grant to do a tree inventory at Woodlot. It would give us a plan. We would engage an certified arborist that would actually inventory all of the vegetation in Woodlot, provide priorities for that. We did this probably 25 years ago. We had an arborist come in and take a look at the trees and give us an idea of those that he felt should be taken care of. I had that just estimated at $10,000 for the consultant, but I also added $40,000 in there to try to remediate some of the issues. So hopefully, we'll keep our fingers crossed. We probably won't hear, usually we've been hearing from Community Development Block Grant historically in May. We haven't been hearing any awards until September because HUD sends the money to the county in September. So there's a time period that we will have that lag before we'll be able to actually do work utilizing that community development block grant if we get that particular grant. But I wanted to mention it because I think it's something that you can have in front of you. You're having issues right now with not having apples and or you're having apples and oranges in your scope. And this way, it'll give you a specific scope of what needs to be done for whatever priority it is in that particular plan. The West Cole Memorial, we did receive the final invoice for the West Cole Memorial. I'm still waiting on the maintenance bond and the certifications for the payroll. So until I receive those, we won't be doing that. I do have, I think I sent it to Bob already. I'm hoping I did. My new Outlook is causing me issues. I don't think I sent something out and find it in drafts about 5 days later. But anyway, that more problems that you people don't really need to know. I am technically sound. Anyway, I have already put together the initial payment request. So we have a payment request. Donna, I'm going to need canceled checks from you for whatever we've done on that Greenways. Bob will send that in with the canceled checks, and we'll be able to finalize that with the Greenways project. I've also sent the closeout to Natural Lands Trust, but I have not heard back from them, which is very odd of Estelle, whether or not the closeout report was accepted. We've already received that money, so don't look for any, Donna, it's not coming. You already had that check. Last month, we discussed briefly about 3 areas of repair for Edgemont Avenue. I did find in Joe's records that he had given a presentation to council. That number was $138,000 for just 3 areas of repair. The full replacement of the storm sewer in Edgemont Avenue was $447,000. So we're hoping, we have one more grant out there, the LSA grant that we put in. Unfortunately, we didn't get the PA small sewer and water. Hopefully we'll actually be able to replace all of that because it's old corrugated metal pipe, and as we already know, some of it has failed, rusting out after 25, 50 years. It's almost 48 years that it's been in the ground. So we will have to do something eventually. I'd rather do it all at once than just a repair. So what I've done is I've actually put a request in just to a contractor that usually bids our small piping jobs to see what kind of a proposal we can get to do just spot repairs. One repair would be 8 foot of pipe, one repair would be 5 foot of pipe, and the other, I believe, is 12 if I didn't write it down, but I should have, just to see what kind of number we could get that possibly it'll give us some time. There's a coupling that you can use now that takes the old pipe and meshes the old pipe with the new. So we'll see what kind of number. Hopefully it'll be under the 23,000 and we can get 3 proposals. And we'll just be able to get 3 proposals and get that done. So that's all I have for this evening, unless anyone has any questions.
Real quick. DEP had a small $5,000 grant out there, I think at the beginning of this year. Is it possible we can look into that for the rain garden for the project for our junior council person?
Is that the, so
It was
I had
$5,000.
DP has a lot of grants.
Yeah, and that's my fault. I should have.
I sent the contact information over to Councilman Constant and to
Okay.
Mayor Groman. the contacts for the Delaware County Conservation District. They provide small grants. And I did want to mention, that I should have, for anybody that's been in the area, has done any kind of stormwater management or soil erosion, if we have a problem with eroded areas, the Conservation District has been right there with us. Ed McGargy is retiring at the end of February, after 28 years as the director of the Conservation District. I know that they have already named a replacement, so I know the person that is going to be replacing, and she will do as good a job as Ed. But we want to thank Ed for all of his hard work. Once I can actually give you that name, I'll send it over so that you have it. But I kind of think that in speaking to either Ed or Karen Wellwall from Delaware County Conservation District, they may be able to assist with some funding. Don't know which. They have greenways.
I know they had a small one, $1,500.
They had a low volume
Yeah.
room, but that doesn't help us at all. But they do have small grants for very small projects available through the Conservation District.
Maybe we could look into that, Mrs. Sherbeck. If you could check with, coordinate with Ms. Catania. What we're doing is putting in a rain garden down in the woodlot. It's estimated to be about, and I don't know if this is true at this point, but like around $5,000. And mainly, we need the equipment to dig it out.
Right. There's,
Maybe somebody could volunteer heavy equipment.
I don't think we need that kind of heavy equipment. Actually, if you go online, it's very easy for a resident to build a rain garden in their home. Shows you how to do it, what the dimensions need to be. There's actually tables out there that tell you what kind of plants you should put in the area that you are. So it's an easy thing to do that will change the water quality
And it also helps for,
coming off the roofs.
it's with our MS4 requirements, so that would be great.
It does.
So if we can make the connection.
One other thing that I forgot, I would truly suggest to you, because Mike Burns is probably one of the best PennDOT District 6 maintenance supervisors that we have had in this area for a long time. If you call him, he actually responds. And as you can tell, he actually completed the work. So I might suggest that you put a letter together to him. I can get you his contact information, just thanking them for the work that they did.
Yeah, that was very kind of them, and it saved us a lot of money and effort. So I thank Ms. Catania again, and PennDOT for doing that.
It's all Mike.
It's all him.
I just gave him a little.
Madam President, going back to my report, I see Chief Laney's back in the room. I'd like to get his opinion on what he's seen over at 59 East Shelton.
You want to wait until we go into public citizens? We have one more report with the solicitor.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Catania? Mr. Wills?
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and a most good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The January 17th Solicitor's Report is as follows. Number one concerns the property at 128 West Garrison Road. My office recently received a substantial payment in the amount of $9,006.25 from the property owner situate, again, at 128 West Garrison Road. That was in full satisfaction of 8 outstanding municipal rubbish liens that had been filed against this particular property. A check in that amount has been forwarded to the borough treasurer, who has confirmed receipt. I have filed the appropriate lien satisfactions with the Delaware County Court, indicating the liens have been fully satisfied, again, including all court costs and attorney's fees. 2, 2023 delinquent trash fee accounts. The tax collector has advised that there are 25 delinquent trash fee accounts with a total delinquency of $13,824 for this past year. Today, I had forwarded correspondence to each of those property owners, again, requesting that they satisfy their financial obligations to the borough within the next 30 days, and further advising that their failure to do so will result in the filing of a municipal lien against the property with the attendant court cost and attorney's fees as so authorized by borough ordinance. 3, graffiti vandalism. Last month, it was reported to my office that there was an incident of graffiti vandalism occurring at the place of residence of the borough's former code enforcement officer. Such vandalism was apparently not directed at the code enforcement officer, but at another resident residing at the apartment building. With the assistance of the chief of police and the police department, the alleged perpetrator has been identified, and a citation, as I understand, has been issued for criminal mischief. Is that correct, Chief?
That's correct.
All right. 4, the 2023 borough audit. My office recently corresponded with the borough's auditor, Cindy Leitzel, to happily advise her that there is no pending or threatened litigation or unasserted claims against the borough of which I have knowledge of that may adversely affect the borough's financial status. And I'm pleased to report we are in pretty good financial shape going into 2024. Number 5, the new borough ordinance. We touched on that. My office had drafted in conjunction with the ordinance committee, again, new ordinance for council's consideration, rescinding, supplementing, and amending, again, various sections and subsections of the Parkside General Code of Ordinances, again, entitled garbage, rubbish, and refuse, permit fees, and of course, fences and walls. That ordinance has been properly authorized for advertisement, and I can work with the borough secretary on that if he requires my assistance. And that will be subject to council's consideration and adoption at the February 21st meeting. 6th item, proposed tobacco shop on Edgemont Avenue. Again, I've been advised that a commercial property owner and or tenant on the Edgemont Avenue business corridor may wish to open a shop to sell primarily tobacco products. Again, the business owner is required to complete an application for a zoning permit, which I have forwarded to the zoning officer, and again, pay the $100 application fee. Thereafter, of course, the zoning officer will have 30 days in which to grant or deny the application for a zoning permit. In the event the zoning officer should deny the application, the agreed business owner thereafter has 30 days to take an appeal to the zoning hearing board. Next item on my agenda, I have one minor personnel matter that I'd like to meet with Borough Council immediately following this meeting. And then finally, I wish everyone a happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous New Year. And with that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
Council members will stay after the meeting for a very brief executive session. Donna and Lisa may be excused. Is Mr. Plant necessary?
Yes, I did.
Ladies
And if Lisa and Donna could stay, I think that would be appropriate too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, public citizens, but I'd like to start with Chief Langen, please.
Good evening. My name is Dave Raymond, Fire Chief of Parkside Fire Company. I'm here to give the end of the year report for 2023. The Parkside Fire Company had 299 incidents for 2023. We had 55 fires, 142 medical calls, all here in the borough, 23 hazardous condition calls, 2 service calls, 8 good intent calls, 23 false alarms, and 46 special incidents. On January 15th of this month, the fire company was dispatched to 138 West Garrison Road for a building fire. The Parkside Fire Company responded with a crew of 5. TAC 45 arrived first on scene and laid a 5-inch supply line from Tom Sweeney and West Garrison. After arriving in front of the house, Chief 45 gave his report of smoke showing in the rear of the property. Chief 45 advised Fire Board that he had command. The crew from TAC 45 pulled a 1 3/4 inch hand line and proceeded to the rear of the property and extinguished the fire. Mutual aid companies arrived and helped with fire suppression and overhaul. No injuries were reported, and the homeowner was able to return to the house after the scene was cleared. The Parkside Fire Company was on scene for 1 hour and 7 minutes. The scene was turned over to the Borough Fire Marshal to do his investigation. See the Fire Marshal's report for further details. The fire company is asking its members to staff the station during inclement weather to make our response a little more timely. Submitted, Dave Laney.
Chief, thank you and your members and assistant companies too for the help this week.
Nani Shelton.
Oh, so the property that the code enforcement asked me to go and look at, to make sure that it was safe for us if there was a fire there. I went in, I did sound all the floors, I checked the walls. There was no damage to the floors or walls that would make us concerned for any of our safety in that building. The windows were shut. I believe one was boarded up. And we came back a couple days later and we pumped the pool out that was in the backyard because the water was getting dangerously high, and if kids were in there, they could get hurt. So.
And thank you and your members for doing that.
Thanks, Chief.
Does anybody?
Minnie did a minute ago. Do you know there's a new sinkhole by Dunkin' Donuts, like in between? I hit it today and I thought for sure I was getting my car fixed. It's bad. It just arose, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, it's, okay.
It's a hole, it's a hole.
Yeah, it's big. I thought for sure.
Just FYI, if you see a pothole anywhere on the state highway, you can actually report it directly on PennDOT's website. It says file a complaint. If you have a picture of it, you can put a picture into it.
Oh, okay.
And all you really need, I mean, I haven't had exact addresses when I put them in. I get better service when I use that than
Okay.
I'm calling and leaving a message on the machine. So, just FYI.
Would anybody like to address the council and all the citizens? Come up to the podium.
My name is Howard Pritchard. I live at 25 West Avon. And we have a problem with speeding. It's a one-way street, and they must think it's a driveway. By the time you get to the top, to the bottom, you gotta be going like 40 miles an hour at least. And I understand when the road was being worked on, some people were coming up the wrong way, but that's over. And they come up the same way, speeding, and somebody's gonna get hurt. So I was wondering if somebody could address that.
The chief will address that with his officers, and I understand there's been some other speeding and going the wrong way on one-way streets. The chief is aware of it, and the mayor has discussed that with them, so we are going to move on that. Once the weather breaks, Mr. Powers isn't here this evening, but I know he's researching the cost to put down,
Speed bumps?
I hate to call them speed bumps.
Yeah, me too.
That's what they are.
Are you looking paving speed bumps?
No, we're looking for the removable ones.
Oh,
So we're looking into it for the late spring.
Okay, one more thing. Same street across the street from me, there's an empty lot between, I guess it's 20 and 2018 or whatever. There's an empty lot there with a stockade fence there. It's been there for years, and it's falling down. It looks horrible. I was wondering if anybody could address that.
I'll address that.
If you give the address to, well, I think
I know exactly what
he
you're
knows
talking
what you're
about.
talking about. We
And-
will look into it.
And the other, on top of my street, there's a house that has like 100 some pallets out back.
That being taken care of too, they want to start building the fence up there.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That was approved by the building inspector.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your last call. If you wish to address council. Moving on, does any council member have any old business? Anybody have any new business? I see on the agenda discussion of changing council meeting dates. I asked to have that put on because several council members have mentioned going back to the fourth Wednesday of the month. Please keep in mind, if you're interested in doing that, we will then again have to pay for the advertisement. And that runs around $190. So if anybody would like to open that discussion?
And that, of course, would require an affirmative vote of our council at the next potentially public meeting on February 21st. It's action, of course, we could not take this evening. It's not an agenda action item, so we can certainly talk about it because it is on the agenda to consider. But again, if we want to move forward, then that would have to be an affirmative motion at the February meeting. And you're right, there's an expense associated with that because we would need the borough secretary to re-advertise all the new public meetings going forward. So,
If nobody wants to discuss that, then
Making a motion to adjourn?
thank you.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? So moved. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening.